Hello, hopefully I'm live. It's been so long since I've done this and I do apologise. I started so well with weekly updates, but I think realistically that was never going to carry on, knowing what my life is like and what I'm like. But hopefully it is streaming, hopefully I've got it working. So hello, I am just under 6 months post-surgery now. So it was on the 16th of November and I've just got back home after my 6-month follow-up with my surgeon, so I thought today would actually be a good time to do an update with you. And actually I feel great. I've got my wig on, a bit more about that in a bit. So I thought, right, let's do it today while I'm dressed reasonably nicely and presenting myself okay, and while it's all fresh from my surgeon's visit. So some numbers, I'm sure lots of people who have been following my journey want to know. I know that I have been updating people on Facebook and Twitter, but it's something that that people are always curious about, and certainly the first thing that my surgeon wanted to know. So some numbers. I have lost in total to date 39.8 kilos. So if you're thinking in stones and pounds, that's 6 stone 4 pounds. And for those watching in the US, that's 88 pounds. And since the surgery itself, because if you remember I lost a little bit of weight before the surgery, since the surgery I've lost 33.1 kilos, that's 5 stone 3 pounds, and in pounds that's 73 pounds. So very happy with that. My surgeon was absolutely delighted. He was quite flabbergasted actually, because I've basically kind of lost the average weight loss that people have after my kind of surgery over an 18-month to 2-year period, and I've lost it in 6 months. So he was very pleased with the result. He was also very pleased that my weight loss has slowed down. Over the past 4 weeks I've lost on average half a kilo a week, which in reality means some weeks I lose nothing, other weeks I lose quite a bit, and then some weeks I even put a little bit on, and then it all evens out. So about half to 1 kilo per week is what I should be losing at this stage. In terms of measurements, well, let me just take a step back and show you what I look like, because I'm quite pleased actually. So ta-da! This is me right now. So there you go. So I've gone from, these are UK sizes, I've gone from about a size 22, 24 at the top and about a 20 bottom to easily an 18 at the top now, and I'm probably somewhere between a 16 and 18 at the bottom. I'm still wearing size 18 jeans, but they're getting a little bit less skinny than they should be, so I'm probably between sizes there. In terms of measurements, I've lost 20.5 centimetres off my waist. I've got my waist back. I've lost 15 centimetres off these, and 19 centimetres underneath, so this bit here, under bust. And 5 centimetres off my right calf. I only ever measure one. I always measure the right. I'm bigger on the right, so I've picked that one and that's the one I go for. 5 centimetres off my right calf and 6.5 off my upper arm, which I have to remind myself is really good, because actually one thing, my right upper arm is much bigger than my left, and there's a lot there, and it's not baggy skin as such, it's still a lot of fat. And it's not really gone a lot, but actually 6.5 centimetres is still substantial, but it's just that as I'm going to smaller clothes sizes, I'm having to think more about sort of stretchy sleeves and stuff. But if I need to have surgery at some point to correct that, then I'll handle that. But for now, I'm just really happy with the results. So it's not been all a bed of roses. As a friend, Andy, said to me earlier on, that I've worked really hard on this and people think surgery is the easy option. Well, in some ways I would say it kind of has been, because it's been a lot easier to lose weight with the surgery than without. But of course it's not an easy option. It doesn't come without risks, it doesn't come without setbacks, and there's a lot of adjustments to make, and what the surgery does is it forces you to make those adjustments. So one of the things I'm actually thinking might crop up during this video is very noisy digestion, and I was asking the surgeon about that. I said, why is that? I mean, I know I've got less padding, but thin people, you don't hear all their gurgling, and it's not just when I've just eaten, and it's not just when I'm hungry, it's at random times, unexplained times, these sudden kind of noises, which is a little bit embarrassing. So he said it's because when your stomach has that kind of pouchy shape, any air that gets in there, which is quite normal, you know, it dissipates gradually most of the time, and you don't really notice. But because my stomach is now tube shaped, whenever there is any air in there, it either comes up in really embarrassing loud burps straight away, or it works its way down my digestive tract, and then that's what you can hear, this kind of gurgling that goes on. and just before I came onto the live video it just started, and I was like, oh, this is great. Tiny bit embarrassing, but there you go. So noisy digestion, not great, and I'll probably have to live with that forever, but hey ho, I'll live with it. The skin, the sort of saggy skin, it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be at the moment. Long may it continue. But at the moment, you know, a little bit of sagginess around my belly, obviously my arms, but like I said, it's not so much skin, there's actually still a lot of fat there. Let's not talk about these. Let's just say thank goodness for great underwear, at least I can hide that bit. My thighs, not as bad as I thought. It's strange places, so slightly, again, you can't see it here, but sort of here, saggy bottom. Not as great as I would have liked, and last night I discovered for the first time a little bit of sagginess around my knees, which terrified me. So I'm just going to have to go to the gym more and swim more and walk more and all of this kind of stuff to try and fill all of that with muscle and you know, deal with it as it comes. And now that my weight loss is slowing down, the skin should have a bit more time to adjust anyway. So the hair, you can obviously see that I have better hair than I've ever had on any of my videos, and I mentioned right at the start I'm wearing a wig. Now it is an amazing wig. I'm going to come really close. You can see, I mean, it's a mesh wig, so it's designed to make it look like the hair is kind of growing out of my own scalp. I can part it wherever I want, and the parting looks really natural. And it's real hair, so it feels beautiful running my hands through it. It's amazing, and actually every woman should have an amazing wig because it makes life so much easier. This morning I wasn't going to wear my wig as I was only going to see my surgeon, but I couldn't be bothered to get up earlier and wash my hair, and I thought I'll just stick my wig on. So it is really good from that point of view. A good wig costs a lot of money and it takes a lot of care, so you know, I do have to look after it very, very well, and there are things that I do worry about, like how much worse is the hair going to get before it gets better again. So what's it going to be like in the summer when I want to go to the beach? I've got some really wide hair bands to kind of cover the worst part at the top, which is where my hair was already thinning. That's why it's got so bad. If it hadn't been thinning, it would just be like it is at the back, which is just a bit lank and a bit thinner, but not horrific. It's just because there wasn't much to start with at the top. It's just kind of leaving me with almost bald patches, really big gaps between hairs. It's not great, but it's supposed to last between 3 and 6 months. It started end of February, beginning of March, so maybe later this month my hair will start getting back into its normal growth phase. Maybe it'll be sometime between now and end of August, and then it'll take a few months obviously for that regrowth to start showing. So I'll stay positive, but for now I'll enjoy the wig, and I might treat myself to some more wigs and have fun with it. But it's yeah, I'm liking having hair, more hair than I've ever had and more than I had before, and it's a really good match to my own colour as well, so I'm very, very happy with that. But that's really the only negatives. I feel amazing. I have so much energy. I feel really great. I cannot stress enough how great I feel. Last week I finished my master's dissertation, yes, and when I was taking breaks from that I was lifting weights, running up and down the stairs. I was like, who is this person? Where have I gone? I get compliments everywhere. That will be really sad when people no longer pay me compliments because this is the new normal, or when people who've never known me as the big person that I was just don't pay me compliments because they don't know that there's anything to compliment me about. But it's great. It's great to everywhere I go people say you look amazing, and I'm loving it. And I ran a workshop with my colleague Liz on Wednesday this week, yes, Wednesday, 2 days ago, and 2 of the ladies there had seen me just as I'd started the pre-op diet, and they were kind of talking, and then one of them said, no, I'm just going to say it, is it really you, Fred, is it you? And I went, yeah, it is me, we haven't swapped a person. And they said, you look amazing. And so I told them about the surgery and the wig and everything, and they were like, this is just incredible. And they were just unsure about whether to say anything. And I was like, look, there is never a bad way to say you look amazing. I mean, just keep telling me, that's absolutely fine. So people are literally not recognizing me. I also spoke at a conference a week or two ago where somebody who'd seen me speak, who'd booked me for a conference a year ago, said, oh my God, you look so well. Now, the thing is, I had been really ill a year ago and I said, well, actually, it turned out that day I was hospitalised with pneumonia. And he said, well, I'm not surprised because you were really, really ill. But so the difference, of course, when he saw me a year later after the surgery as well and not having pneumonia was quite marked. But there you go. So the compliments are amazing. And I must say, I keep catching myself in the mirror, especially when I'm wearing my wig, actually. And I just go, you look good. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being happy with how you look. And before, I'd have days when I'd think, yeah, you're looking all right today, you know, you scrub up okay, but there was always something that I wasn't happy about. And now I actually look in the mirror and I think I look great. And I don't mean that to sound kind of big-headed, but I just look in the mirror and I like what I see, and it's a really great feeling. But the biggest thing really is my health, the reduction in backache, how much more energy I've got, the gradual reduction in various medications, which will just keep getting better. My blood pressure is fantastic. My taste buds have changed, so I don't like things quite as sweet anymore. Food, it's a strange thing. Sometimes I just feel like a functional need, or I need to eat, and other times there are things I really, really enjoy. And that's really the one thing that I want to focus on today, to end this on the note of positive psychology. That when I really enjoy food, the things that I really look forward to, you know, when it's not just a functional meal, but even when it is functional, because I'm having to eat more slowly, because I'm having to really think about what I'm putting into my body in terms of nourishment, I savour every morsel. And before the surgery, a lot of the time I was just shoveling food down my throat, you know, and I wasn't really enjoying it. And yet now, the tiny, tiny portions I eat, I still serve myself food mostly on tea plates, and my tea plate is never full. So we're talking toddler portions, really. And although visually it might not be that satisfying, it's still an adjustment. In terms of actually savouring that, I take my time. It takes me as long as it takes my husband to eat a normal, or what I would have considered previously a normal portion. Now I consider it a huge portion. Most of the time it takes me about the same amount of time to eat it, when I'm careful and I chew slowly and I think about it, and then I really savour it. And savouring is not just about food and taste, but it's about life in general. And it's one of these concepts in positive psychology about savouring the moments that make life great. And it's linked to things like gratitude, which I've talked about before plenty of times, because of course if you're kind of taking the time to pay attention to the things that are enjoyable and savouring them, there is inevitably some gratitude linked into that, in terms of appreciating the fact that we're enjoying those moments. There's also things like mindfulness and meditation. It's almost like a contemplative meditation and mindful activity to savour a moment, to really just think about that moment and experience everything about that moment. So if it's food, about, you know, the textures, the tastes, the smells, the sounds even. Is it crunchy, is it soft and squelchy, whatever you're eating. But it's not just food, you know, if you're enjoying a moment, to really pay attention to every sensation, emotional, physical, that goes with that moment. And really enjoy it and appreciate it in that moment and feel everything that goes with it. And linked to that is something that I've always found really fascinating since I started studying positive psychology, I suppose, which is Zimbardo's time perspectives, which I can explain in more depth at a different time. But it's basically about the way that we perceive time and the way that we appreciate time. And we all have different perspectives. You know, there's the sort of future orientation where you're looking forward to stuff. There's the I'm trying to think of the names now, but there's like a past positive and a past negative, but they're not the proper names for it. But then there's one that's a favourite of mine, which is why it's not surprising that I needed weight loss surgery, which is the present hedonistic perspective. But it's also why I always run out of money. It's the, you know, enjoy now, the moment, right here, right now. So for me, personally, because that is my strongest time preference, even though we all have more than one. So I also really enjoy planning for the future, and I love reminiscing and thinking about the great stuff in the past. But my strongest preference is the present hedonistic one, the live for the moment, enjoy things now, have fun. So savouring absolutely for me taps into that, because it allows me to really live every moment. But for anybody, savouring, there's a lot of research out there about the benefits of savouring, and one of the reasons for that is really linked to Barbara Fredrickson's broaden and build theory of positive emotions, which I know I've talked about before as well. Savouring is a way to really make the most of those positive emotions that you're experiencing in a particular moment, and to really appreciate those, notice them, and then also store them up, of course, for future memories. So food or not food, whatever you're doing, and it's the weekend coming up, my positive psychology tip for you today is savour the great moments, pay attention to them, be mindful of them, and really enjoy them in the present and make the most of them. And with that, I've rambled on for far too long, as per usual, and I look forward to catching up with you. I won't say next week, I'm not going back to weekly ones, but in a few months' time I'll give you another update, and speak to you soon. Have a great weekend. Bye. Remember how to do this.